Hello everyone, all pro doing really well. See a few of you in the chat. The lovely Lucinda, g'day to you. The Moon cosplayed the Bat single. I love that. Chills, Kiora K, how you doing? Matty, do or die tomorrow. It is indeed. Free kick Collingwood. Pretty good game that, wasn't it? Hey, Nick Dacos' goal was something else. How are we all anyway? Big game tomorrow. Bit of build up for you. Thought we'd got some interesting data for you. We've got all sorts of good stuff. Bit of banter. We'll have a bit of a chill out, see what the vibe's like. G'day, Christian. How are you? I hope you're well, mate. I hope you're well. G'day, Jeff. How are you, mate? Hey, mate. They'll take the wins, as we will as well. Damien, how are you? G'day, Lou. How you doing? So, what I thought, I've structured a little bit of a show for us to have a bit of an interest in what is going on. So I thought the big thing, g'day, Howard. How are you, mate? It does. Technically started yesterday morning because I got up to watch United beat Fulham, so that was good. I thought what we'll do is we'll have a look at the issues we've seen in the Carlton team, see what we can have a look at, and see what we can deduce from it. So let's have a wee look. Which camera's best? Ooh, would this one be good? There we are. Look, here, tell you that. There we are. That's better. So what you're looking at on your screens here, right? G'day, Danny. How you doing? We've got round 11 to round 16 where Carlton were playing pretty good football, ranking in top 5 for pretty much every metric. And then what we've got here is the percentage change. So you can see round 11, round 16, through 16, Carlton had averaged 43 points in the league, which is pretty tasty. Just to put that in perspective, if you were averaging 43 now, you'd be number 1 in the league. You'd be number 1 in the league, 43. That's quite a high total. Carlton were 1 at the time. Currently, I'm very well, Fong. Thank you, mate. I hope you're well. Currently, Carlton rank 3rd at the moment, but with that score in the last 5, they would rank 16th. 16th they would rank if that score was for the total season. And you can see there, that's nearly 2 goals a difference per game since round 17. Just under 30%, 27.5% change. So that is a real big one. We're going to try and look at that, Josh. We're going to work it out as a team. And then you look at the stoppages against. So stoppages against were always weren't a major issue, it has to be said, but a lot of people complained about them because Carlton's differential wasn't so great. Now, in that time, Carlton were ranked 9th for stoppages against, right? Currently, it's 44.2. That's quite alarming. That is 18th in the league. That is 18th in the league. That is the worst stoppage defence in the league. So from 9th to 18th there, an increase of 10%, 30% more scored. And Carlton in that period from round 17 have played some of the lowest scoring stoppage sides, which is quite a concern. And this is really interesting because this is something that Voss really did shift. You could see this was quite an area of concern from him. And we're going to look at the players. You're going to look at the players that are out, which doesn't really paint the picture, I don't think, when you look at this data. Because the big one is TDK, but TDK doesn't do mass amounts for your stoppage scores against, stoppage scores for. You're looking at your midfielders. When you think, and how do I come to that conclusion? Well, TDK will affect the scores. TDK will affect the scores per se, because he gets a thing called score launches. But if you look at Pitternet in this period when he's solo rucked, and bearing in mind, Pitternet has rucked some of these games as well that we're talking about in the interim period, it is quite interesting that this would allude to more of a structural personnel change. Obviously, you are getting 2 tackles more from TDK, but the midfield pressure has really died. So, real interesting. You see the stoppage differential here. Real important one. Differential's always a good little thing to look at. Carlton were ranked second in this facet up to round 16. Carlton negative 13 now, which puts them 17th in the league. I don't think tomorrow will be cancelled. Chat, don't get excited. But you can see there, look, that's down by 241%. That is a huge, huge shift. So stoppage, when the media were saying it was a concern from stoppage against because differential was kind of affected. But very interesting. And this is a real interesting one here, turnover. Carlton were literally one of the best turnover side, the second best turnover defence. Still at the moment, for the total of the year, Carlton is still the second best turnover side. But when you look at it since round 17, this is 44.2%. That's down by 36%. 42 puts you 17th, just above Richmond. So that is a real telling thing there. So then when you look at the players that are out, TDK doesn't account for that. The turnover scores traditionally in TDK's first game missing Carlton started to stabilise the turnover. The stoppage started to go slightly. Very interesting that this stat here, and what this stat's telling you here, is really what we've talked about in the review. The condensation in the midfield, the fact that Voss floods the corridor, which means when they do win the ball back, there's not much to go. And you can see turnover against the opposition has increased. So Carlton went with the second best turnover defence side in the league, right, up till this point. And then you look at it now, it is very, very concerning. That would put them just at the AFL average. Just at the AFL average now. So from second best to just above AFL average 10th. That is a concern. And as you can see, the score over defence, it's got plus 40. You can see there, look, that's almost synergy. And this is basically moved. Just moved to them stoppages. You can see the start. Have you seen here, look? 30, 40%. The turnover defence doubled, technically. Teams now really thriving from plus 36 to negative 2. So that's a real big shift there. So that really does paint the picture of how Carlton have tried to condense the midfield of the park, trying to stop stoppage scores, and it has really affected turnover for and against. So that's a really interesting little matchup then. And then we go to this, and this is probably the big areas for concern and really answering Josh's question of where did it all go wrong? Well, you can see defensive half scores, 51. This was number 1 up until round 15, and we plummeted from this. Currently, Carlton, for defensive half scores, I don't think we've ever seen a dramatic fall from grace, but Carlton now would be 16th from first. 16. Do I think the way they're playing is going to make it worse? I do think Voss is trying to really add players in the corridor. And you look at this there, look, down 43%. And defensive half is really your ability to move the ball. It's how bold you are. And Carlton were incredibly bold at this situation. And you can see stoppage scores against, they've kind of a 20% rise and fall. You can kind of account for teams, personnel change. Anything above 20 is a concern, but you can see against Carlton still doing it. And then the defensive half differential, absolutely massive. 112% difference. And that's a big shift. Do I think TDK left-handed improves the centre setup? I mean, he could do. I mean, when the short answer is I don't think it does, because you look at how Carlton set up just with the extra around the ball. I mean, the centre clearances haven't really been a major strength or a real negative. We'll see in the next slide. It's the stoppages have been real big issue, and Voss has really struggled with that all year. But we're starting to throw more players around the ball. More players around behind the ball, which gives us nothing when we do win it back. And teams are just spreading on us. And you look at the forward half, this is a big one. This was Voss's. This is probably the most dangerous stat for me, because this has been something that Voss has put focus on since he walked through the door. Forward half score generation, our pressure at the forward line. This is probably the only thing that stays the same with Voss from day one to now. And this is even shot down. So you look at that, 49 points to 39 from forward half, 21% depreciation. The opposition scoring 30% more, and Carlton's forward half defence was so good. And look at that differential there. So already we've got 3 lots of 100 in the differential. And this is where it really starts to paint the picture, because you see here, like, to answer your question, Matty, 20% is not really a concern to me, because that could be an issue. I mean, that could just be literally who you're playing against. And you can see 3 points from centre clearance. It's going to get better, Lana, don't worry. And then you look at against. Now, this is where you've really seen Voss start to play more defensive, which hasn't affected Carlton's scores, because from centre clearance, the name of the game was always the same thing: win ball, kick it forward. In defence, though, Carlton have really become accustomed now to trying to condense that central area, which has caused teams to just start running through it. And once they run through it, Carlton's halfbacks aren't pressing anymore, which gives them space into work behind. So this is a really, 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 really interesting one. A real interesting centre clearance. And the pressure acts here. Now, this is a real interesting one. I always tell you about pressure acts and tackles, right? So pressure acts are one of the most misleading stats in the AFL, because it also means you shit. It means you win, but it means you're also shit. It's a real interesting one. So you can see here, Carlton are actually putting more pressure on, but just bear that in mind, because you can see teams are pressuring us less. It's actually starting to increase in areas. The pressure metric in the midfield is up by 70% against. And teams have worked out, if you pressure our midfield, the rest comes on. So these numbers shouldn't depress you. These numbers should show you how easy it is to change, because you're looking at blocks of 5 weeks. So 5 weeks ago, we were the top 2 sides for all the stats you've seen, and now we're the bottom 5 for all of them. So it shows you how quickly it can change, but also by being focused on stoppage. And this was a question I got a lot in my previews and reviews. People were drumming about stoppage, and it is the most irrelevant stat in the world if your differential is always in the plus. But right now, everything is coming down because we're trying to negate it. So always be careful what you wish for. And then we come to this one here, and these are the numbers. So what I told you about the pressure acts, your pressure acts and your tackles have to mirror. So if your pressure acts have gone up a certain percentage and they've gone down 10% in tackles, that means that you're either not close enough or you're not in the right areas. And this is where the teams have changed. Carlton were really good at handling pressure acts. The area Carlton don't handle very well is tackles. And that is really interesting, because you look at the differential, 350% decrease from 5 weeks ago. So this is it. And this is the most important stat, right? And Lana, this will cheer you up. It all starts from here. The tackle inside 50 stat. Carlton now have gone from 3rd in the league to 18th for tackles inside 50. And that transcends all manners of evil. Voss has got the right game plan, with these boys. Get the ball moving forward, tackle, tackle, tackle. It hides all the deficiencies of the team, right? So you know when people say, I want us to play with speed, I want us to play with quickness, we haven't got the players on our list, right? We haven't got the players on our list. If you added Chad Warner to this side, you added Brent Daniels, you'd have to change the way you play. And the facts are, Carlton have got about 3 players that are considered in the elite echelons of kicks. And that's only when they're in space, right? That's only when they're in space. So this game plan that Voss came up with that went to round 16 works really well because it's just get the ball, move it forward, tackle, 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 tackle. It hides all manner of evils. It's ironically, if you ever listen to Richmond and if you ever get the chance, right? If you ever get the chance, watch Richmond's documentary on 2017. And Dimmer built his system, which was manic pressure, to hide the ball users, and to create a more condensed game plan. So it's a very easy shift. So Says, don't feel like this is good. I get hyped up when I know where I'm going wrong. Do you know what I mean? So this is really exciting. So I think that's a real interesting little snippet. And we look at the territory 4, right? We look at the territory. So we talked about territory. There's the big one. Do you remember what I said? Kick it forward, put pressure on. Kick it forward, put the pressure on. Losing 500 metres per game is a hell of a lot. Even though that's down 7%, that's a hell of a lot of meterage to lose when your pressure has slimmed down as well. Genuinely, when we see sides try and take meters off and territory off and play a more controlled game style, we'll see the pressure and tackle numbers really high, really high. Carlton's have gone down. So this really shows here that a lot of Carlton's meters gained have literally been Carlton trying to get the ball away from trouble. And you can see there that the marks inside 50 rate is kind of stabilised. It's kind of stabilised to an extent, but because Carlton aren't getting the ball forward and tackling, they're not getting the ball close to 50 to penetrate 50 with purpose. So it's a really interesting little thing of how that pressure has meted it. And then you see here, we went from the number 1 goals per inside 50. We were the number 1 scores inside 50 by about 10% as well, which was a real good start. Real exciting start. You can see these have depreciated massively as well. And that bottom stat there, I really want you to look at. This is one of the most important stats in the AFL. Your rebound 50s to inside 50 ratio. This is a metric that is very important because what this tells you is how your ability to basically slingshot is. You can see here that Carlton have really struggled to put the pressure to stop opposition, turning the ball over on us very quickly. So it's a real interesting little stat. And then you look here, these defensive numbers obviously being victim. And it's really interesting to see that people are talking about contested possession. That's one of the only stats that hasn't changed. So what this shows you here is that in the corridor, Carlton are still good, right? The problem is they're flooding the corridor. So this basically says that Carlton have got to keep their width this weekend, but also look to play with a little bit more bold and endeavour. So let's paint the picture before we get hyped up. What's changed in them rounds? These are the players that have come in, right? So you've got Matty Cottrell, he played no games. Do you know what I mean? No games round 11 to round 16. Played 5. He's played 5 games out of 6 since then. So that's 83.3% more. 83.3% more. Hopefully he does, Tommy Teabag. We're going to go through that in a minute. So stay with me. We've got to paint the picture, my friend. Jesse Motlop, 0 games in Carlton's best area. So 4 since round 17. 66%. Adam Chera is probably one of the big ones that will account for the stoppage. That addition of him has really caused chaos because why is that? Adam Cherra's best work is when he's played in the pocket. So if you go into the stoppage, when Vossi's going well, genuinely hides a player out the back of the stoppage. It's been Jordan Boyd and Adam Cherra. Adam Cherra was moved to a more defensive role, which then took Hewitt out of the team for 2 games, which caused chaos in there, and they have never managed to seal that hole as of yet. Because then Adam Cherra started this instinct when they did play together that he'd double up inside. So that's a really interesting one. Matt Pearnett, obviously, he's up 50%. He played 1 game in that period when TDK had a little bit of a niggle. And round 17, he's played 4 out of 6. TDK doing 2 of them. So you can see there, TDK does account for 2 of these games. It's important to note. Jack Martin came in and David Cunningham, right? Let's look at the players that have remained consistent. And it's really interesting because Charlie Curnow's not there this week, but obviously we can't preempt. But Fogarty and Charlie Curnow go out. But up till this game, only 50% of the team has remained consistent. So that is a big, big factor. Is it the biggest factor? I don't think it's an excuse, right? I don't think it's an excuse. And the reason that I don't think it's an excuse is because these players should be trained in these roles. The players that we've missed, a lot of them there that you can see, 50% of that group, they're very unique players. So Jacob Wheaton, we've got no one else to do that job. So that's fair enough. Nick Newman, traditionally we've got no one to do that job. Ollie Hollands, no one else could play defensive wing. And I think that's why you've seen they've tried to play him a bit more attacking the last couple of weeks. Patrick Cripps, no other Cripps. Elijah, that's why we bought him. Lockie Fogarty, big issue here with Fogarty going because he's led the way on the tackles. Charlie Curnow, Chincotta. So Chincotta's probably the first one we've got here that we've got probably a rotation for. Sam Walsh, Matty Kennedy, probably the most rotated player, but is there a Matty Kennedy in the team? Adam Sard, he's missing this week, and Matty Owis, who everyone wants to trade all the time, he's still going strong. So that's it. But let's look at the players we're missing. Lazio Fantasia. This is a real interesting one, right? And I'll tell you for why. Because Carlton used Adam Cherra in this role, and it's never quite worked. Lockie Fogarty's played this role. Voss has missed this role. And that's just someone that will hold his width and will rake the skirts of the stoppage and look for the easy ball. So he's been a big loss. Zach Williams has been sensational forward. Jordan Boyd, down by 33%. Mitch McGovern, George Hewitt, and TDK. So you can see that in this passage of play, because TDK missed a game in that winning streak, and he's missed 3 games in this losing streak, you can see here that it doesn't account for the change. So this goes back to the original question, right? And it's fascinating. Let's have a look. You see, I think just Adam Cherra was just simply used wrong. And I don't think he was fully fit either. But I'm with you, Tommy. Is it a worry? I said it at the time. I love Adam Cherra, but I've been a big advocate for about 3 or 4 years now, Tommy, that I don't like bringing in stars. I'd like more Matt Kennedys on the team. I'd like more players like that. So for me, I think what Voss made a mistake on, firstly, was when he brought Cherra in, he tried to pigeonhole him into the Fantasia role. And then that didn't quite work because for whatever reason, is that fitness? Was he just out of form? And then I think he tried to get creative and pull someone like Hewitt out to give Cherra that role. And that didn't work. And I think before you know it, once you start to change things too much, the continuity dies. And for me, I think Voss has got to use his list a little bit smarter. But with that being said, so that is the team. We've seen who we've lost. We've seen where we've gone wrong. Let's have a look. right? Do you know what I mean? Let's have a look at this team. So we look at the team for this week, right? How is this going to win? How is this going to win? G'day. How are you, mate? How are you, unbranded? So if we look at this team here, right, although it's not super exciting, I do think there's a little bit of hope here when I look at the personnel we've brought in, right? Because I think the real interesting one that I've taken out of here is Ollie Holland started to slide forward the last couple of weeks, right? So, and Jackson Binns has been playing that half forward, right, in the last 2 weeks in the VFL. So obviously that's the Matt Cottrell role. One of them's got to play. I do think it's interesting that Carlton, I think, will play. If when that game's played, I'm going to predict you see Lockie Cowan on that other side. On that other side, protecting. G'day, Mighty Blues. How are you, mate? Protecting Jackson Binns and Ollie, right? So I think what you're going to see here is Ollie and Cowan are going to work to protect Binnsy a little bit defensively. So what that does is Jackson Binns, for me, one of his greatest gifts is he holds his wing. He's hold his width. And that's where Carlton have gone wrong this year in them last 6 games. Sard and Newman have looked to overlap, but then where they were underlapping the wingers, they're now overlapping. Paul with a 10 gifted. Peace, love and light, brother. Make sure you give him a big thank you if he's giving you the membership, right? So I think Binns and Akers here are really integral if it's going to be wet because we need to keep our wings. We need to keep the exit ball. Now, Binns, say what you want about him defensively. If you play Ollie Hollands, right, and Matty is in front of him, Cowan behind him, he's got a lot of protection. And if he can keep his width, that is going to be the secret to a lot of work here because he is a territory-first footballer. So I really like that side. That right-hand side is genuinely our least possession side. I like that setup because I think Carlton have got the outlet there, and I like the other side as well. I think Zach Williams, Jesse Motlop's got a lot of work because, ironically, he's named in the Fogarty pocket. Blake Akers and him working in tandem, allowing to free Zach Williams up. I think he could be killer. And I think there's a lot of goals in that team because you know what? People take the piss. But I don't mind. You know what? Call me crazy. I genuinely don't mind seeing Mr. Kennedy there, right? I don't mind seeing Matt Kennedy in the forward line because I think he's got a little bit of a danger factor about him. Do you know what I mean? I think he's got a bit of a danger factor when he roams forward. And you look at him this year, right? He slotted forward against Port Adelaide. He had 3 marks inside 50. He did it against Gold Coast. He had 2. And he did it against Giants as well, right? I really like that. And when you look at the weather tomorrow, it's definitely going to be moist. I don't mind that because I think the biggest issue, as you've looked with the midfield, is our ability to get good entries in. They're going to have to do it. They're going to have to do it. They're going to have to look and play it. But I don't mind Matt Kennedy playing as that half forward, right? I don't mind it. And when people talk about West Coast Eagles, you've got to look at it for what West Coast Eagles, right? West Coast Eagles, you've got Jack Darling, who's very, very good, right? Jake Waterman's low, right? Right? He roams low, right? So he's going to be the target of someone like Mitch McGovern looking to intercept the mark. I don't mind it. I really don't mind that matchup. I don't look at their forwards and our backline and see an issue because I think they've got an issue. Jeremy McGovern has been very, very loose defending this year, right? Especially on the ground. Their toes, Harry Edwards and Jeremy McGovern, they ain't going to like the ball coming low. So Carlton are going to have to play the ball low. So I don't mind it. I've genuinely got a good feeling about the kids coming in. So what do you guys think in the chat? Who do you think the sub is? I think it's going to be Ashton Moyer. I actually think they've cheat coded it. I think it's Ashton Moyer sub, Lord Carroll, Durden, Chincotta on ground. You'll take the 53-49 win. Mate, hey, I don't blame you, bruv. I don't blame you. Lucinda's asking about the godchildren. I love it. Good age, you canna. But I really like that team. I really like it. I agree, right? And I think it's really important as well, right? That if it's 2 weeks, right, without tolls, let's just say it is, Tom, they're going to have to they're getting a crash course in entering 50 with a little bit of fucking common sense. Do you know what I mean? Like, they can't just bomb it in, hope Kennedy can take marks. They're going to have to float that ball in with a little bit of purpose. Cooper Lord to make a statement. I don't mind it. I think he'll play very well. I think as well, what you've lost with TDK's ability, because I think when you look at Cripps, I think Walsh is one of the worst in our list for it as well, around stoppage. Breaking through at stoppage, I think it's something that he's never done enough for me. I think Cooper Lord, that's his gift. So I think Cooper Lord breaking them lines, I'm really excited about seeing Cooper Lord and TDK play together, because I think suddenly you've got a big change. I agree, Tom. And if you've watched Jerry McGovern this year, ground balls have fucked him. So I like it. I'm really excited about this. So I really like this little chance for us. I think this is probably the best time and the worst time to do what we're doing. But something has to change. We've gone through them numbers. Something has to change. So I don't think Voss would have made these changes. Do you know what I mean? Like, I don't know what you guys and girls think. I don't think Voss would have brought Cooper in, right? If we hadn't had these injuries. So I think you've got to do it. I think we've got to make something happen. So sometimes the best chances are there. I probably wouldn't. I'm not for bringing an A-list star. I'd rather go someone cheap and young. Up the tractors. Hey, mate, Ipswich boy, eh? Hey, Fred, he could fucking be. Do you know what I mean? So it's going to be interesting. Yeah, you see, that's my theory. I mean, it's weird we haven't seen... I mean, I understand not seeing Cooper until now, because obviously he was a mid-season draftee, right? Okay, mate. Hey, you like me then? Did you enjoy today? Great goal from Zerke. Yeah, I mean, it's been interesting. I mean, you see, this is the thing that I'd love to know, right, about Jackson Binns, right, is that you look there, that is the most obvious change for Carlton to play, right, is play Jackson Binns. If you're going to play him on the wing, you've got to protect his defensive prowess. So I don't understand why we brought Matt Cottrell back. And I said it in the VFL, I don't understand why year one we didn't play Jackson Binns as the Matt Cottrell in the VFL. I think that was a mistake. But now we're going to see it. I agree, Albert. I mean, I think I'd love to know, because we showed you them stoppage things, and it was something that I was asked. Like, I would have got about 10 questions a week from it. 10 questions a week about why is our stoppage so bad? Even though I kept saying it's second best scoring in the league and it's like 10th defence and the differential was third. Everything else was top. I'm not sure why he changed it. Do you know what I mean? I don't understand why he was so worried about it. G'day, Aidan. How you doing, mate? Up the United, mate. So it's going to be really interesting. It's going to be a really interesting thing, but I really, really like that little change. Have you looked at anything about the weather? The weather? Shall we have a look? What is it? Optusnet. Sunday, innit? Why is it showing me fucking... So 0.2 when the game's played. It's going to be wet. However, I believe it's dual sand filtered. Do you know what I mean? I think they were. I mean, I thought it was easy to put it. Do you know what I mean? Yeah, we covered it. Voss just likes to condense the corridor, which makes it really hard for us to get any movement. Be interested either bring in with leg speed. Josh, would I agree on what? I didn't see what you said. So that's going to be a real interesting thing if it's raining. So what we can do is let's have a look. There's a nice little website here, Carlton Blues. I think they put their last couple of games together. As if it... Hey, that's nice and easy that they did that for us. Right, let's have a look. Did they do any highlights for Jackson Binns in the last game? But let's look. This is Jackson. So this was Jackson's game against Geelong the other week. So, you know what's really good about him playing half forward is a little bit like... Do you know what I mean? He's a little bit like Matt Cottrell, how he goes forward. If you watch him play, he goes forward. So this is quite exciting for us. And he's not scared of just getting the ball forward at stoppage. But you see, he always makes himself available. Well, I don't know if they're not allowed to be themselves. I would imagine... I'd imagine that what you'll see with... I know Clarkson wanted full rain and only North would give him it, which I can't tell you why. But it's going to be funny. Revisit the Climb Masterpiece. What was the Climb Masterpiece? Hey, it would be nice, Mike Clifford, wouldn't it? But you can see here, though, you know, one thing about Jackson is he's really worked hard. Look, and just keeping his width. Look, you'll see here, he always keeps his width, which is so integral to what we do. So that's pretty good, right? Let's have a look what else we've got. I can't believe they haven't done VFL. It's heartbreaking. He hasn't done VFL. Let's have a look at Cooper Lord in the last game. Because this was actually a really tasty game from him. I think you've got to bring Charlie and Harry back as soon as they're fit, haven't you? It depends how it goes this week. That's a fair comment. I mean, Says, I'm glad you've said it. Because I think people forget, right? I think people forget that the VFL is a total different pace, right? So Cooper's probably... Because Jackson, playing the wing in the VFL is very easy. because everyone kind of sticks to their positions. You very rarely get any roaming. But you can see here that that Cooper's always the first to tackle, which is really exciting. Look, always there. And his gives and goes are really good. Look, do you know what I mean? They're really good that he's got that little give and go. He's not afraid to do it. Like, watch him here, look, just around, look. See, look, we don't have anyone in the team that does that. That just takes off. That just takes off. Like, when we play, we don't do it. I would say his best similarity, Cooper's, is Tuck Miller. I was talking about it in my preview. One of my good mates, right, had a lot to do with him at juniors. And he was a big fan of Coops. Said he was but very Tuck Millery. Tuck Millery. The way he plays. Spot on, Judy. I mean, that's why I like what they've done. Play Ollie in front of him to protect the first wave and to give it a chase. Because you actually see it quite a lot in the VFL. They get away with it by playing the more defensive halfback and playing more of a tackler in front of him. So I don't mind it. You see here, look, Cooper, very quick with his handball. But you can see there, look, like, if we go back and just watch that passage of play there again, look, watch, right? Just watch. You are never getting this time in the AFL. See what I mean? Look, so here, right, this next passage of play, look, you are never getting... That handball there ain't happening, right? You are never seeing, in a marking contest, that fucking much space. Like, Ashton Moyer there could set up a shop. He has very clean hands there. But you can see there the difference, right? You see there the difference that you ain't really going to see it. You ain't really going to see it that much. I can't believe, you know what, Carlton Blues, if you're not a member of this website, get in it, right? But I can't see it. But you know what is really good here? If we go here, can we find it? Where's the Collingwood game? This is fun, this chat. I'm actually feeling good about tomorrow. Rob Ned Carl. As if they didn't do a Jackson Binns. Fuck me, he had 47 touches, boys. He had 47 touches. But if we watch a bit more of Jackson, because this was the game where he really did play a little bit more forward. Oh, fuck. Yeah, he had that much width, he could do what he wanted. Yeah, there's so much space. Like, that's why I used to cry about, last year about Lockie O'Brien, because I don't know how he had fucking 9 touches in VFL. You can see here with Jackson, look, he's always keeping his width, which we don't, because when you look at Carlton's halfbacks, they're now overlapping them. Liam McMahon, I wouldn't mind a bit of Liam McMahon. But you can see here, he always makes himself available, which is a good sign. Don't mind Jackson Binns, If we can get that, if we can protect him and we can keep him out in space, he's pretty clever. But he's just very, 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 very tidy with what he does. Look, you see, no one makes that lead in the seniors. Like, he's made that lead from the right wing. Oh, does he? So this was the game that he had, like, an absolute mammoth amount. But look at how he kept his width here. You'll probably see some rookie picks next year because Carlton are going to have to get creative. You know what? Controversial. I wouldn't mind us trading 2 or 3 players. I just don't know if there's any value in them. See there, look, defensively, that was a good little passage. He was really strong. Has to be bared in mind, though, that Collingwood's team here had an average age of 11 years old, right? No, I think Carlton will probably look at someone like Liam McMahon coming in. I think Carlton will probably look at 2 or 3 free agents. But trade him. You know who I'd trade? Like, I think because Voss doesn't like Hewitt and Kennedy, I think Kennedy's got value. And I wouldn't want to trade him, but I think Carlton are in a position you've got to. If there was offers on one of our midfielders, I think you've got to trade him, right? I think you've got to look at trading a midfielder because I think we've got too many. I think halfback's an interesting area because we've got too much depth. You see, if I trade, you know what though? I wouldn't want any A-grade players in, so I don't want Petrarca or anything like that. McMahon's better than, I think, 2 different players. I think Lemmy is more AFL ready than McMahon. And I'll tell you for why. You only got to look at Jack Hutchinson in West Coast Eagles. Guy was dominant in VFL. Kicking goals in VFL, anyone can do. It's like you know, Ben Crocker. Garbage. But he used to bang him in. I just don't think there's any trade value in Jack Martin, David Cunningham. I think Kennedy there is, right? Jack Martin, like, I always think of it this way. If Carlton were offered Jack Martin, what would you offer him? I'd offer a 3rd, 4th. If that. And Dan Houston, you see, the only way I'd get Dan Houston is if you traded Adam Sard. Yeah, but I wouldn't want Liam Ryan. I wouldn't want Liam Ryan because he's so inconsistent as well. Like, Owies is more consistent than Liam Ryan. Trade Walsh. Fuck. I wouldn't trade Walsh. But I think Matt Kennedy has got value. I think Matt Kennedy has got hella value because he's not getting full midfield time. The problem is the Camporelli twins are the worst year. Like, if this was last year, that would be perfect. Yeah, you see, Matt Kennedy, I just don't think Voss plays him. Voss doesn't play him right, so I think he's got hella value. Like, I think someone would pay a 1st with a 2nd coming back for him. Do you know what I mean? Which helps you in the now. In the now. And we have got too many halfbacks. Like the only way I'd bring Dan Houston in is if you trade Assad. Do you know what I mean? If you trade Assad, because I don't want another star on the halfback line. I'd rather have another Nick Newman. Right? So I'm upgrading Sard age-wise. Do you know what I mean? But I'd rather have Sard because he knows the system. Yeah, but like Marchbank's got no value. Like, let's have a look at it, right? AFL out of contract. Like, let's look at it. Right? I genuinely wouldn't take Petrarca. Like, how many stars do you want in the team to realise it doesn't work? Like, history doesn't lie. Having stars doesn't work. But if you look at the players that, look, right, so who are out of contract, right? Right, so unrestricted free agent Brodie Smith. Well, I mean, Jesus, we've got enough backmen who can't kick. Chris Burgess, I wouldn't. Elliot Himmelberg, I wouldn't. like Borlassi, like there's no one there I'd want. Cripps is the only star on the team. You've got Kerner, you've got Mackay. Walsh would be classed as a star. Like, why would you want Petraka? So, like, I mean, I think in an ideal world, we need a proper key defender, right? A proper key defender, because at the moment we're playing medium sides, right? Medium-sized players. I think we need a point of difference in the midfield. I think we need a selfish small forward, because evidently we've got Control C, Control P. Oh, actually, you know what? We can do better than this, chat. You know what we can do? Do you want to play a game with me? Right. So, look, if we do this, right, so what you've got here, right, is what we've got here is the genuine makeup of how all the teams have presented themselves in the last 5 years. So, right, let's build our Carlton team. Right? So, I think, I don't know what you think, right, but I would like, in an ideal world, to play Wheater in here, right? Because usually you have a very good defender at centre half back that can intercept and use the ball. So I think we need a new here, right? A new key defender, right? And then usually have a line breaking player and an attacking halfback flanker. So would we agree that Saad would be the halfback, right? Right? And Nick Newman, right? So, right here. So we need a lock fullback, right? A new Josh Battle. So we need like a lock fullback, right? So let's have a look. Can't wait for a bit of Cody. Feel like Cowan's a bit too small. So, I mean, Balassi, what? He's 192. Ryan Lester, you say? 192. I want something more exciting. How big's Caleb Marchbank? 198? 193. So we need someone about 194. Chat. You know what? He hasn't played enough, but I don't mind Charlie Dean. But I think that's just because I like him. But we need someone of that ilk. I don't think there is anyone. Like, this is something that you've got to trade. This is something you've got to trade for. Levi Caswell. You know what? You know a good way to find trade targets, chat, is go to the next year's out of contract. Don't mind Keane. Who's out of contract next year? We need. You see, you don't need. Yeah, but he's 800k, Lou. You see, I'm a big fan of Busslinger and Denver Granger Barras, because you know the knock on Denver Granger Barras is he doesn't use the ball. He just defends, and I think that's what we need. I couldn't, honestly, I'd probably stop watching football if we signed him. Have Hawthorne got him out a contract? Let's go. So look, if we put someone there, look, like if we had we need Damien said Billy Frampton. Spot on. We need someone just to stay at home. Like if that was Lewis Young, right? If Lewis Young could do it, that back line looks good because your intercept lock, one of these would have to be Cowan, right? And then you go back to having McGovern. Right? So if you went Cowan and McGovern here, right, that looks pretty strong. How much do you reckon Bolter would be? Because Noah Bolter's here. So how much... You know what? Like, look. Let's go here. Look, if we put Bolter there, right? Nick Haynes, you see, to me, Lou, Nick Haynes strikes me as they want a replacement for Marchbank and Co. Right? So then you go here. So Rupp, TDK, right? Now, this is where another issue with Carlton. Jack Buckley, I don't mind that, Kimberly. You see, I'm a big fan of Busslinger, right? So look. So if we go here, and we'll put our little list of names. So if we went Busslinger, Stephen Mather's too old. Busslinger. Denver GB. Stephen May. Fucking hell, chat. Stop going for stars. You can't go for stars. Right? You see, Bolter, though, right? Let's have a look. What was his last contract? So 2019. Oh, chat. I reckon 500k gets him. 500k gets him. 500k long-term deal gets him. All right? But would we agree that back line is pretty much what we'd look, wouldn't it? So, but this is my other issue with the midfield, right? So all the midfielders, right, have an extractor and accumulator, right? So you've got Walsh, right? So then you need an extractor, and then you need a point of difference. We don't have this. Because right now, what Voss does is this. So you see why it goes tits up. 25 next year. 24 today. Right? So this is where it goes wrong. So I think, right, if you said the extractor, we have Hewitt, we need a point of difference with speed. We need a point of difference with speed. So I think we need someone here who could be Cooper Lord. Right? And then wings, I think, are locked in. Right? Akers, Hollands. Right? That could be Ben Camporelli, but it won't be for 2-3 years. Right? But then you've got Elijah here. Right? You've got Mackay Kerner. Fogarty. Right? So this one here is an interesting one. Right? Because it was Martin. He's cooked. Right? So is that Moyer? You see, that's why I've said, right, in my ideal world, I think we play Wheater in wrong. Right? So it could be Sauce. Right? Could be J Sauce. I just don't think it's... Juddy, fucking trying to do this serious, and people are saying, let's just fucking put 8 million into the salary cap. Right? So then this needs to be a goal sneak. Right? Needs to be a goal sneak. So the moment it's always, right? So what I like about that call with Bolter is you can pinch it in the ruck. Right? So then what you've got here is, look, right? So this would be the next forward. So you could put JSOS here because that covers that. Right? So then I'd still say you'd need someone there if Owies is there. Right? So if you trade Owies, right, is that Motlop and you give him no defensive responsibility? See how hard this is? You've got to, like, pick the team to make it suit. Yeah, Doc's here, look. So that's probably Z-Will at the moment. Yeah, Johnny, I agree, because he's on my list, but look, he signed with an extension, so I reckon it's 100. I reckon at the moment he's on 400. I reckon 500 would get him. So that's what? Always Motlop, fucking Durden. So here, it's usually your replacement backman or another mid. So I think we definitely agree. We probably need a goal snick. Yeah, but I think Haynes covers this. Right? Haynes covers this chat. Right? Because let's go here, look. Let's be honest. Right? Haynes is what? The same height as... He's the same height as... what's it called, isn't he? He's the same height as Marchbank. He's like 194, isn't he? Yeah, 192. So he's just the replacement for these, look. Because, look, chat, Alex Murkoff, right? He's either getting sacked or staying on. isn't he? So he's staying on. He's gone. Probably re-signed. Gone. Probably re-signed. Traded or re-signed. Gone. See, Nick Hines already is best there. Do you know what I mean? Matt Owies, third. Maybe a second. Do you know what I mean? But so you definitely need two defenders in this period. Like if Marchbank's going, Domaku's going, Sam Durden's going, Nick Haynes has to come in, right? Has to come in, and then another one. All right. I reckon Owies re-signs. I reckon they're just waiting for the salary cap. Right? Jack Carroll will re-sign, but the rest will go. Do you know what I mean? So, I mean, even if we traded, let's just say we traded every fucker here, he's worth nothing, he's worth nothing, he's worth nothing, he's worth nothing. Fourth, third best? Nothing. Third? Because small forwards are 10 a penny. And Sam Durden's worth nothing. So, at best, we get 2/3. But, look, injured all the time. Yeah, Juddy, I'm used to it, mate. Mate, I'm used to it because I've had Man United fans tell me Harry Maguire's worth 400 million. Casemiro's worth 200. No, he's slow and shit. But if we're honest, do you know what I mean? Like, look, nothing. Maybe a third. Like, if Paddy Dow went for what he did, Jack Carroll's the same. Jack Martin, nothing. Matt Carroll, I couldn't pick him out on a fucking snowfield in red. Matty Owies probably a third, second because it's the most abundant position. So it's just one of them things, isn't it? Do you know what I mean? It's one of them things. Like, what can you do? But, and then we've got to go after someone, haven't we? We've got to go after, like, because the problem is, as well, there isn't really anyone in the draft as well to fix these problems, unless Carlton go Nick Haynes 2 or 3, like a 1 year thing, and we go for Jack Whitlock. Do you know who I really like in the draft chat as well? Taj Houghton. Do like him. Think he's a bit of a point of difference. So, but big game. Big game this week. I'm really excited about this weekend, chat. Tomorrow's a real big one tomorrow. Yeah, he is. He's really good. Do you know who I really do like? Who I reckon? Do you want to hear my top pick for the draft? Check this kid out, chat. Check this kid out, right? Check this kid out. Look at this dude, right? Look at the wheels on this little fucker. This Christian Morales, top player, right? Top player. Hey, I like a little bit of Casemiro, but this kid can play football. Got a real bit of pace. Makes his decisions quick. Needs to sharpen up a few things, but I think we're looking for POD. This is it. Telling you, this is it. I'm a big fan of this guy. Everyone hates him as well. Everyone's crying about it because Hawthorn tried to do the dodge and get him on an NGA. But he's got a bit of pace. He's fast. I really like this kid. Telling you now, this is someone I'd love us to get. If we can get someone of this ilk, we should be able to get him. Yeah, he'll be around our pick. Maybe even after. I'd love Carlton to break up that pick because I think you'll see that the Camporellis are going to be way down now. You're going to be like 25, 30. But that's it. But chat, I've really enjoyed chilling out. He plays on ball, Lou. I've really enjoyed chilling out. I'm going to go and have a shower and warm up and get ready in my singing voice for tomorrow. But thank you very much for hanging out with me. I hope you enjoyed it. I do enjoy these little impromptu streams. And we'll do some gaming streams next week if you're keen. Maybe a bit of Fortnite. I'm going to go spend some time with Mrs. Pom, though. Love you all. See you soon. Pom out.